Hello and welcome back to the Nest and Inside the Iggles live show. Thank you guys very much for joining me on today, Friday, January 19th. And I don't know what the hell's going on. It's a lot of weird things are going on. Just getting right into it. The most important thing with Nick Sirianni. So I can't remember what day was that. It wasn't yesterday. So it must have been on Wednesday. Diana Rossini tweets out that Howie and Nick Sirianni are working together to find coordinators. And whenever you hear something like that, you're thinking, okay, Nick's going to be around, even though I would say the majority of us don't want him to be. Maybe not the majority of us. It might actually be 50-50, the fire Nick, hire Nick, or keep Nick crowds. So that, I mean, it sounds like Nick's staying, and Nick was supposed to have his meeting with Lurie that day, or maybe it was the next day, and then it got postponed because of like travel or something logistical. Something got mixed up, and then Nick's having his meeting with Jeff Lurie today, and looking at Twitter right now, not seeing anything about it. So I don't know what the hell is going on. So now all of a sudden we're trying to convince ourselves that Nick is going to be the guy again. Yeah, Lance, the face palm. The face palm is exactly where we're at. And once again, it's just a reminder that nobody knows anything about what the hell is going on in the Eagles franchise. We don't know who makes decisions about what. I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. I think we're all in the same boat. Now we're trying to convince ourselves, is Nick going to be able to do it? Are we going to get a new defensive coordinator? I know last year they interviewed the guy from Michigan, that I think his name's Jesse Minter. I know his last name is Minter. Maybe get him back. I don't know. Are we going to we got Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson is been interviewed by like 3 teams for head coaching positions now. And I know I brought it up a couple weeks ago with people being like, no, this is just their Rooney Rule interview. There's no human being on earth that would think that this guy's a real candidate given what happened this year. But then you look at Tennessee, and they've interviewed Brian Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So I don't think it is a Rooney Rule thing. I think people actually are interested in Brian Johnson. And the reason that that's important, I believe, don't take my word on it completely, but I believe, because this is the kind of thing, if you have somebody who is a minority on your coaching staff or in your front office, and they get hired by another team, you can get those compensatory picks. So what this means is that the Eagles aren't necessarily, if they're smart, they're not necessarily going to fire Brian Johnson rather than wait for him to potentially get hired by another team as their head coach in order to get those compensatory picks, if that makes sense to you. I think I phrased that pretty well. The smart move is to wait for him to get hired in order to get those picks. The problem with that is that all of a sudden you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball for teams that could potentially need new offensive coordinators. The other side of that is that teams that are needing that could potentially need new offensive coordinators, like the good ones that are going out, we're thinking that the Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, is going to get a head coaching job. They're still in the playoffs. He ain't leaving yet. There's Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive coordinator. He's still in the playoffs. He's not going to get hired yet. We're looking at there's other teams. I think was this stupid? The Saints like fired their guy. There's a few other ones. You get what I mean. The point is that the Eagles are going to need to end up getting a new offensive coordinator. If they wait for Brian Johnson to get hired, that's good for them for draft picks. It's bad for them for getting in front of other people. There are teams that will end up needing offensive coordinators who will be behind the 8 ball because they're still in the playoffs. I think I said that correctly. So that's the weird reality of the situation. The other thing that we're getting with the Jason Kelce retirement thing, I'm thinking, I don't think it's going to be a Tom Brady thing. The Tom Brady thing is where Adam Schefter spoiled Tom Brady's retirement, because that's what his job is. It's dumb that he does it, But he spoiled Tom Brady's retirement. Tom Brady comes out of retirement. Tom Brady retires later. That's what I don't think Jason Kelsey is gonna do like a I ain't done yet. I don't think he's gonna do that. He wanted to break the news himself. It's like a sacred thing to be able to announce your own retirement, especially when he's got his own pod, his own tremendously phenomenal, like his like super high profile podcast. I don't know. It's weird. I don't like that Adam Schefter did that and kind of spoiled his moment. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with that. The other thing is that we saw today, and this doesn't add up to me. We saw, let's see, was it Clay Harbor? Clay Harbor said this is the headline I'm looking at on my phone. Howie Roseman didn't offer TJ Edwards a contract even though he wanted to stay in Philly, per at Clay Harbor. I don't remember that being the case. That's not, I believe the whole thing is that TJ wanted to go home. Maybe wires got crossed somewhere. Maybe that's a half truth. I don't know, but I'm not Flame Howie guy. I'm not Flame Howie for this one guy. I believe that the intention there is that TJ Edwards wanted to get home. I don't necessarily buy that. So if you see these kinds of things, make sure you're looking at them from both sides and don't just be like, hey, what the hell? Especially Clay Harbor. I think that's the Clay that I don't like. I don't know. Clay's an untrust. If your name's Clay, I probably don't trust you. That's where I'm at. That's a weird name. Clay Guida. Not a fan of that guy. Because all the grunts and the burps. Anyway, whatever. So that's coordinator talk. I'm going to keep this short. It's just me today. So let's talk divisional round. The Eagles aren't in it. So that means we get to hate watch everything. You know, we get to root for chaos, which is lovely. It would have been great if the Eagles would have won, because that would be the most chaotic thing to happen in the playoffs. But unfortunately, here we are. Or fortunately, if you just wanted the pain to end, like a lot of people. So the first game that we're going to get this weekend is going to be at the early game. It's starting at the same time as the late window normally starts on Saturday and on Sunday. It's going to be 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Central. Is the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. The Texans are 9.5-point dogs. That's a lot of points. Over under for that game is 43.5. As the I don't want to say like the story of this game, because obviously it's Lamar Jackson with being able to I don't know, prove everybody wrong and shut everybody up about that's not what a playoff winning quarterback looks like. But the important thing to note about this game is that it's going to be in Baltimore at Highmark Stadium, I believe. No, M&T Bank Stadium. The AccuWeather, their forecast. This is a quote: times of clouds and sun, windy and very cold, dangerously cold. Semicolon, bundle up. Not quite as harsh as Sunday afternoon. So that's good that they gave everybody that little hope and a prayer right there. I don't know, man. I don't know. What's up, Kyle? How's it going, man? I'm living. Oh, and we got Bernard Winfrey. He's legitimately paying $5,000. $5,000 is the way people say it, to the first 10 people who DM with tough. Shut the hell up. What are you doing? What are these people? Anyway, this game, with the wind, looking at this, it's gonna be a 14. A 20 mile an hour wind. I'm pulling up like what the gusts are right now. We know CJ Stroud is cash with throwing that ball. We know that wind gusts are going to be up to 35 miles an hour. That to me is going to be more of a that's going to be a Lamar thing. There's several times this year where I was like watching Ravens games, and I don't think I've ever been able to look at him and be like, man, Lamar should actually pull the ball and run it here, because he's also been money with throwing the ball. He's going to be the MVP. But we're used to that Greg Roman offense where all he would do is run. And it's just weird. It's a weird concept to have in your head, to be like, man, I wish Lamar would actually run the ball here rather than kind of bail out and gun it. But that's the reality of this. I think the Ravens, you do your whole rest versus rest. I don't buy into either side of that. I think that's a dumb thing. I think it's world class athletes competing their goddamn hearts out is what I think it is. I I'm comfortable with laying 9.5 points against and I know I said it last week that I think the chickens would come home to roost. That a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach in the playoffs, I thought that time would run out and that they would lose, but that did not happen. They absolutely stomped the Browns. I'm liking Ravens laying 9.5 here. Like that seems like they could just dominate this game on the ground like they have. I think that they can easily flip that switch back there. 35-mile-an-hour gusts. I mean, you can. I know what's his name, opera singer, kicker man, Justin Tucker. I know he hasn't been as good this year, and I don't think that field goals are necessarily something that they're going to be trying here. So I kind of want to take that out completely. I think 35-mile-an-hour gusts is going to pretty much nullify any kicker, even Jake Elliott. Maybe not Jake Elliott. The guy, that kick against Buffalo was kind of crazy. Not kind of crazy, incredibly crazy. But I'm kind of liking laying the 9.5. I think that the Ravens could kind of walk away with this one here. Sucks for CJ Stroud. He's been the best rookie quarterback ever. I know people have been saying like no Andrew Luck, but I think it's going to be CJ Stroud's the real deal. All right. Next game that night is going to be at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 7:15 p.m. Central. We got the Packers going to the San Francisco 49ers. Packers are also 9.5-point dogs. Over under in this game is 50.5 points. It's in California, so the weather's not going to be an issue. It's just always the same there. Maybe you get a marine layer if you believe in that kind of a thing. This game could go one of two ways. The fun way is not only the way that we want to go watching it, but it's also the way that we want it to go as people who don't want the 49ers to win ever, which unfortunate realization is that they do. If the 49ers play this game and go to like dominate this game and win this game wire to wire, it's not going to be fun because they're just going to shut down the Packers left and right. And that's not going to be fun for us as human beings. It's not going to be fun for us as people who are rooting for a team's utter demise. If this game goes the way we want it to be, we're going to see the Packers of last week. We're going to see the Packers suddenly becoming our second favorite team in green. Like it's going to be, they could if they're able to put it on and not let the 49ers get into the situation where they can just run it down and just choke down the clock and just suffocate the game. If Jordan Love can continue to sling it, I don't know if you guys saw some of these breakdowns of this film from that Cowboys game, but Matt LaFleur had Dan Campbell's mind in a freaking blender, dude. He had them all mixed up, didn't know what to do. He was toast. There were some routes where they were running the like unconventional kind of breaks and stuff like that. It was great. If you can do that to this 49ers defensive backfield, buddy, we're going to have some fun on Saturday night. The other side of that, like what we saw when the 49ers played the Ravens the first time, the Ravens defense absolutely shook Brock Purdy. They absolutely shook him. They got in his brain early, often made the guy get his little squirrely little dancy feet with his little 5'9", 5'10" frame. Like they got in his gourd. I don't think that this Packers defense is built like that. This Packers defense is not a Ravens defense whose players pride themselves on hurting quarterbacks, which dirtbag move for sure, but you got to respect it. If you just have the power to just take people out of a game, listen, it's an asshole of a game plan, but it's a game plan and it works. I don't think that a Joe Barry defense is going to be able to do that. This is the kind of the shocker part of that Cowboys game is how that the Packers defense shut down the Cowboys. That was the shocker part of that. We knew that the Packers offense was going to be able to put up points, but it was the way that the defense performed. If they can kind of channel that and make Brock Purdy do a Dak Prescott thing, which are two guys that I would like to think have the same kind of brain chemistry, just two losers. I think that we could have fun here. I do kind of have faith in the Packers being able to to be able to scoot the ball like they did last Sunday. So I'm going to go with Packers over 9.5 points here. 50.5 is the total. Golly, I like the over in that too. I mean, we've seen shit. The Packers were just in a game with 80 points. I don't know. I like that. That'll be a fun game. That'll be a fun Saturday night. Next game is going to be on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to the Detroit Lions. Bucks are 6.5-point dogs. Over under in this game is 49.5. The game is played indoors. I don't know if anybody saw that video of that reporter that she probably didn't cover the team regularly or cover football at all, but she asked Todd Bowles about what his plans are to deal with the cold weather in Detroit. And Todd Bowles is like, well, we're going to be outside for about 16 seconds walking from the bus to inside, so I don't think it's going to matter. The game's being played indoors. That was just funny. All around is funny. That's the only time Todd Bowles has ever showed any amount of personality, so good for him. But with this game, I think we all want Detroit to win. We all they've been dogged, they've been trashed, they've been horrible for my entire lifetime. I mean, you just got to root for them. That being said, the defense is not good, man. The defense, that's not new. That's not anything new that anybody's heard about, but we got the Buccaneers playing with a little bit of swagger right now. We got confident Baker Mayfield. I mean, you saw how he was slinging the ball. You saw how he was. That was one of the questions that I wrote on my notes during that game is Baker Mayfield good now? And I think the answer might be yeah. I think he might be. It's weird to say he should. It's okay. It's tangent time. Baker. I'm between Baker and Flacco for comeback player of the year. What Flacco did was incredible. The guy came off his couch, but Baker Mayfield's been trashed. He's been trash. He has been trash as well, but he's been through it, man. He's been absolutely through the ring. A guy got drafted first overall. He's been through the absolute ringer, playing for some awful teams and just being treated like an asshole is what he's been treated like. And man, Damar Hamlin, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to beat comeback player of the year who came back from death. John Mechie really kind of dropped the ball with not having a better season. Maybe he's not just that good, but he came back from leukemia. Calvin Ridley came back from a crippling gambling addiction, apparently. But Baker, man, I know it's all done. I know that the voting for the comeback player of the year and everything like that, it's all regular season stuff. And he did play in the NFC South, and that was kind of a garbage, not kind of a garbage. It was the garbage division. But I know all the rooting's done, but if Baker does good this game, I'm going to want him to win that. I know it won't matter in the long run for it, but I'm going to kind of want that. Anyway, talking about this game, we got the Buccaneers playing with swagger against a Lions defense. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. We saw this game. We saw how Baker was slinging the ball. It was not his they should have put up 50 points. They should have put up a 50 burger on the Eagles in that game. But we had guys just and Mike Evans just, which has been a kind of his tendency is to as of late to they were just dropping the ball. They were just dropping balls. Like there was one where the only incompletion that was thrown Darius Slay's way was it hit Mike Evans in the hands and he in stride and he just dropped it. If they I don't think they're going to be able to clean up drops and everything like that. And I think that's going to end up being their downfall. But I do believe that the Buccaneers will actually, I don't think they're going to keep this game close. I think that the Lions are going to allow the Buccaneers to stay in this game, I think is my way of saying it. I think that those drops and everything are going to end up costing the Buccaneers their season. But I don't think that I don't think that those drops are going to keep the Buccaneers out of the game, if that makes sense. So my point here is that I do like Tampa Bay plus 6.5 points in that game. Last game of the weekend, and it's stupid. I hate that they do this. Just give us a normal, and I know they can't because this game is being aired on CBS and not NBC, but just make it later. Don't because this game is at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. It's 5:30 p.m. Central. It's just gonna end like before normal Sunday night football ends. And you're just gonna be sitting on the couch like, what the hell do I do for the next 2 hours? Like what the hell am I doing here? I just watch football. I don't just get to go to bed now. Like I have to what am I going to watch? What am I going to watch? I don't know what's on TV on Sunday nights. Not 24. That was like 20 years ago. I don't know. Some stupid cooking show. I don't know. I don't watch. You get what I mean. It's kind of dumb. But we get the Kansas City Chiefs are going to Buffalo to play the Bills. The Chiefs are 2.5-point dogs. The over under in this game is 45.5 points. As far as weather goes, I know that there was some talk earlier in the week about how it's going to be, and I guess it has been snowing there this week and stuff. But we saw what that stadium looked like. We saw what that field looked like after it snowed 3 feet last weekend, and it was just perfectly clean. That's not going to be a thing. So what's going on with the weather in Buffalo at Highmark Stadium? Per AccuWeather, here's a quote: "Not as cold with considerable cloudiness." Cloudiness, sorry, that's not enough. Not as cold with considerable cloudiness. Be sure to wear layers when going to the football game. Last week they were saying, please stay home or else you'll die. You'll freeze to death and die. So this is a considerable bump up. It's only going to be 26 degrees. Wind is 10 miles an hour. Wind gust 21 miles an hour. Wind is not going to affect either of these quarterbacks' arms. They throw the ball with enough force to shatter bone. So I don't think that's necessarily going to it's not going to take the ball or anything like that. But here's the deal: is that the Bills got banged up, man. They got banged up at the end of not the end, but throughout that game, that wild card game against the was that the Dolphins? Yeah, no, not the Dolphins. Who the hell did they just play? Who the hell is the Bills just play? Pittsburgh. They got banged up against Pittsburgh. And they're playing on shorter rest now, I should say. Because they were supposed to play on Sunday. Banged up, short rest. And it's the Chiefs. I don't care. I do care, and I don't like it. Nobody wants the Chiefs to win. We just got done like 5 years ago with the most dominant sports franchise in history. We don't want another juggernaut. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. Nobody, Patrick Mahomes can get his wins some other season when he has a stacked team. Nobody wants Patrick Mahomes to take a team to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. Nobody wants that. That's tired. That's lame. That's dumb. Nobody let their entire team be amazing. Don't let just this jackass do it. Nobody wants that at all. Unfortunately, 2.5-point dogs, man. I think they're probably going to outright win this game. The Bills were able to run the ball against Dallas and whatever week that was. I can't remember what was that. That wasn't Christmas Eve. Whatever day when the Bills played the Cowboys, James Cook was able to run the ball left and right, up and down, everywhere, just stomping all over people. That was really kind of the only time that we've seen the running game, with running backs, really excel. Other than that, it's all just Josh Allen. I don't necessarily. I mean, he is going to run the ball a lot this game. I don't necessarily think that their running game is as dominant as Isaiah Pacheco and everything else that the Chiefs are doing. They've got drop problems of their own. I just don't think that that's going to necessarily be the case here. I don't really want to talk about the Chiefs winning too much, but I think that is going to happen. I like the Chiefs outright. 2.5 points that's easy. Over under in that game's 45.5. I think that's going to be over. I don't know. It's not fun. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at with the divisional round. So what do we say overall? Like the Ravens laying 9.5, like the Packers getting 9.5. I like Tampa Bay getting 6.5, and I like the Chiefs outright. That's kind of my predictions on this entire thing. It's not the most chaotic. I think the most chaotic situation going on here would be Texans beating the Ravens would be chaotic. I don't want to say all dog. No, because Chiefs are dogs. I think most chaotic is going to be Texans beating the Ravens and then Packers beating the 49ers. Lions winning is kind of chaotic. Is that I think that might be chaos. Just chaos in the sense that Detroit would be going crazy. That's kind of a chaotic thing. I think it's obviously a thing that's expected. They're over they're over a 6.5. They're a 6.5 point favorite. Obviously, it's expected, but that is chaotic. A Lions winning a Super Bowl is chaos. I know everybody was really high on the Lions the entire season, but that is I think them getting to a NFC Championship game is pretty chaotic. And then Bills beating the Chiefs would be chaotic too. So that's kind of the chaos run in the divisional round. Other than that, I'm gonna do one more check on Twitter real quick to make sure Nick Sirianni's fired, and he is not fired yet. At some point next week, I don't know when we're going to be able to get him on, but I want to get Ja back on here because we had a conversation last week that delved into chaos once again about whether or not Nick Sirianni should remain coach, and he is incredibly adamant about him remaining the head coach, which I am not a big fan of. But another funny tweet that I saw this week is a guy at OG Booby Hurts 1 tweeted that he wanted Greg Roman to be the Eagles offensive coordinator. This season ruined a lot of people's brains, man. If you want Greg Roman and his 1940s style offense to be an Eagles offensive coordinator, you gotta, I don't know about reevaluate. You might just have to stay off the internet for a while. Greg Roman is not the answer to an Eagles offense. Greg Roman's not the answer to anybody's. Greg Roman's the answer to maybe a Service Academy's offense. That could probably be it. But that's where we're at. Keeping it under a half hour, something short, digestible. Thank you guys very much for joining me on a Friday night. We got some good, fun, low. Devin says, who would I like to see as coordinator? I said before at the beginning, I don't know if you hear Devin, I like the Minter guy from what's it called? From Michigan. The Eagles interviewed him last year for defensive coordinator. For offensive coordinator, oh man. This is where I'm torn. This is for offensive coordinators where I'm torn. Because we saw what happened with Jalen Hurts and Shane Steichen going back to back. We like when he was running the same offense, which to be fair, he also ran the same offense this year, and it's been Nick Sirianni's been very outspoken about that. But with the same play caller and everything, we saw the kind of progress that he made. And obviously, it's not just the play caller. Jalen Hurts himself just stepped up big time from 21 to 22. Part of me is like, okay, run it back with Brian Johnson. That's dumb, and that part of me is dumb. That's a dumb thing for me to think. I'm getting out ahead of it. It's a very, very stupid thing to be like, hey, Brian Johnson should come back for another year. I understand that that's dumb. It's very stupid, and I got a real dumb brain inside my gourd. But, man, I don't know. As far as offensive coordinators go, I don't know the answer to that. To get a guy to go laterally from offensive coordinator from one team to this team that's obviously, like, if we know that an offensive coordinator is good somewhere and then get him to come here, that's good. That's a good thing. But chances are that's not going to happen. They're going to end up elevating somebody from inside the building, or hopefully from outside, to get them to be offensive coordinator. And that's one of those things. That's one of those things where it's a little bit above me. What I almost need to see in order for an offensive coordinator to like be like, which one is going to be one that I would like to see, like a list of like 10 guys is kind of what I want to see. That and then I would be able, off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure of who like offensive assistants are for other teams, who offensive or quarterback coaches are for other teams and stuff like that. But one thing, I mean, to remember with this Eagles team is that, like, when they hired Doug Peterson, and this obviously is head coach, and this is different than offensive coordinator, but nobody was interviewing Doug Peterson. When they hired Doug Peterson, it was like, why the hell did we do this? Obviously, I mean, there was connections and stuff, like the quarterback coach and everything like that. And then he was under Andy Reid, the offensive coordinator, and everything like that. But nobody really saw that one coming. So it's kind of weird. I would like to kind of see what people who are smarter than me would kind of like be like, this is a list of 10 people that I think would be good. And I haven't really seen one of those kinds of lists yet. But if it is Brian Johnson, I would be very unhappy, but I would understand it. Maybe that's the way I should say it. If it was Brian Johnson, I would understand keeping him, but I would be incredibly angry about it. I feel like that makes sense. But as far as DC goes, like I said, that Minter guy from Michigan or Vic Fangio, we could get the Vic Fangio defense that we wanted for the 2023 season after the 2022 season. What'd you say, Sean? John Gerard, former NFL quarterback with a was with the Eagles once. He's a quarterback coach at Houston. The way Stroud developed, I'd be cool with Johnson. I don't. Yeah, I mean, you say that's the thing. If you put an argument out like that, it's like that makes sense to me. But if somebody else put out a different argument and said the same kind of thing, I'd be like, that's pretty cool too. So that's why I need to get like a group of dudes that I could kind of see what we had going on from there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these offensive coordinators, that's the thing about this year with keeping Nick Sirianni. It's so stupid because the crop of head coaches that you could get are so good. They're so good, and keeping Nick Sirianni would be entirely foolish. But they're gonna, man, and it's infuriating. It's infuriating that they're probably gonna. It's infuriating, and there's so many good coaches to hire right now. You're gonna stick with this guy. And the problem is, here's what's going to happen: is that we're going to get a defensive coordinator. Hopefully, we get somebody older, like a Vic Fangio. You get a Vic Fangio to be your DC. We've already seen what he can do as a head coach, and it's not good. What I'm afraid of is we're going to get some young guns in here, a young DC, a young OC. They're going to be good. They're going to build up. 2 years later, they're gone. If we get like a Vic Fangio, you get a guy who's older. Nobody wants him to be their head coach anymore. Maybe somebody stupid will down the line. The Arizona will or something when they get done with Jonathan Gannon. But you get somebody older like that. That's the benefit of it. You get somebody older like that, he can stick around for longer. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. I don't know. You say you like Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh wants to build a team. I don't think the Eagles are already, except for their defense. The team's already got incredibly structured, and he doesn't want to probably deal with a owner and general manager that meddle as much as Howie and Jeff Lurie do. I don't know. I don't understand how Brian Johnson is getting all these interviews with what the film is showing how bad the offense was the last 7 games. He was getting. That was the argument with keeping him as the offensive coordinator this year, or for the 2023 season, was that if the Eagles didn't get him as the offensive coordinator, he was going to get hired to be a head coach or go to be an offensive coordinator somewhere else. Obviously, things would have been different, and that would have hindsight been a good thing for us. But that's where we are. I don't know. That was the other thing that came out of the Eagles locker room cleanouts is the glowing endorsements from Fletch and from Jason Kelsey being like, no, Nick Sirianni's the dude. And it just like, they both said that. They're both like, why would he go? He's the good guy. It's like, no, he's the bad guy. Why do the people that we like the people that we don't like? Why is that? Come on. Like, why can't we all just be on the same page? Why can't they just be like, no comment? That's what we all wanted. And instead they say stuff like that. And it gets our emotions all torn up. For the love of God, no more Fangio style defenses. I don't know, man. I don't know. A Vic Fangio style defense can be average, and you can win a Super Bowl with an average defense. That's my argument for it. Yeah, it's ugly, but a Vic Fangio style defense also got a 70 sacks. Yeah, it's ugly. Bend but don't break. Jonathan Gannon got torn up by every single good quarterback. I don't think Vic Fangio and Jonathan Gannon, it is a Fangio style defense, but it wasn't Vic Fangio's defense, if that makes sense. I think Vic Fangio would be able to do things that would be able to actually compete against good quarterbacks. So that's kind of where my thought is with that. Yeah, it's not fun. Blitzing's fun. Jim Schwartz is fun. That's a lot of fun. They're probably not going to move on from Jim Schwartz unless Jim Schwartz is like, I'm done, or he gets a head coaching job. I don't know. It's gonna be a funky weekend. It's gonna be a funky next week. hopefully we hear something. But that's all we can do. We can only sit and wait. One more check on Twitter to see if Sirianni has been fired, and it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like Nick Sirianni's been fired. So that is where we're at. Anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Lance, for giving me a face palm and a LOL. Appreciate all you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you on next week, probably Monday. We'll be back with you guys on Monday and talk about what we saw this weekend, if there's any news, how we're feeling about everything. And I've been writing something. It's been kind of a longer thing. About how bad the Eagles defense actually was this year based on quarterbacks, QBR, passer rate, and completion percentage. We'll talk about that kind of stuff. But we will be back with you guys, kind of diagnosing this week, kind of diagnosing the Eagles season a little bit more. And we'll talk to you next time. Go Birds.